Continuing on now to topic 3 of chapter 3, we are going to look at intercepts. Now, in section 2, I kind of went over this with you. And what did we say intercepts were? Well, when you draw a graph of an equation at the point where it crosses the y-axis, that's called the y-intercept. And we said a special way of writing that was 0, b. That b indicates the y-intercept. And where the graph crosses the x-axis, that is the x-intercept. And we said the special way of writing that was a, 0. So hopefully with repetition, some of this stuff starts to stick. And another thing, while we're right here, we said there was a special Teechart that we use to get the x and y intercepts. And I'm calling this the x and y intercept Teechart, because whatever value then you put an x as 0, you're going to get a value b. And if you put y as 0, you're going to get a value a. And these are your intercepts. Okay? So that's what we'll be looking at as we go through this section here. All right, they're going to start us off as example 1, identify the x and y intercepts. Okay? Well, here this one is straightforward. So this is going to be 0, 2. And this is going to be -3, 0. Now remember, it's in the form of 0, b. And this is a, 0. Now notice this is not linear, but there are 3 intercepts now. We have the -4, 0, then we have the -1, 0, and then we have this one, 0, 1. Okay? And let's move it up a little bit here. Now for number 3, we can just use that example. It's kind of a funny looking thing. The only intercept that they have, as we said, was for both the x and the y were the origin. Now for this one, it doesn't have a y-intercept. It only has an x-intercept, which is 2, 0. And what is the equation of this line? Something we had in the last section. If you said x equals 2, that is correct. This is in the form x equals a, which we're calling as a kind of a reference number, equation 6. And here we have a circle with 4 intercepts, and they're all listed right there. Now again, these are ordered pairs, and you can also think of some of these as a, b, getting back to our intercept values. So you can't reverse the coordinates. Okay, here's a little practice, and you'll be doing some practice. What is the equation of this line, though, as a little review? Because this is y equals b. This is equation reference number 5. And that's going to be y equals 3. Okay. A review item. If I were in class, I'd give a bonus point for this. What is the name or the shape? What is the name for the shape of this graph? It's a parabola. Okay. Now, using intercepts to graph a linear equation. We have done this for a while. Now notice, they are not introducing here the famous X and Y Intercept Teechart. They're giving you all the information for it, but they're not giving you this little hint. Okay, so there's our equation. It's in standard form. If X is 0, Y will be what? A -2. Now if Y is 0, X will be 6. So you go to draw it, and 0, -2, and then 6, 0. And then there's your graph. A good technique when it's in standard form, use the X and Y Intercept Teechart. Now, when you are doing Math Lab, some of you may decide, oh, I'm going to use another technique that we'll see a little later on. And you'll say, you'll plot this point, let's say, then you'll plot this point, and you'll draw your graph, but this one won't have a dot on it. Well, Math Lab counts that incorrect because they've asked you to plot the intercepts, and you used another technique, not the intercept. So you want to be careful of that. Now, if on a test you did that, let us know, and I could give you the credit for it. But try to follow the instructions. Okay, let's go on. Now, for this one, let's do this one here as well. X and Y Intercept Teechart. And again, by doing it, you get the practice. So if X is 0, Y will be a -2. If Y is 0, X is a -4. So there are your X and Y intercepts. So 0, -2, a dot right there. And then -4, 1, 2, 3, a dot right there. And I have my line tool, makes a nice line here. There you go. Okay? Now, for something like this, this gets a little challenging here. Let's bring it up. Now, for example 7, they are telling you to plot the intercepts, but you're going to see something here very shortly here. We had done this before. That if we use our special Teechart, notice if we let X is 0, Y is 0. And if we have Y as 0, X is 0. So this doesn't help us very much because our X and Y intercept will be going through the origin. So in a case like this, we will need at least one other point. So let's say Y is 2. So we go in there, -2 times 2 is -4. So now we have another point. So we're going to go -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go up 2, and then that is our line here. So when there is no y-intercept, in a sense, there is no b, our y-intercept is 0. And we'll be showing you another way to do this as we continue our lesson, either here or in the future. So there's the graph, and there's just a practice. Now, here they're asking us to graph this using the intercepts. So again, I would strongly suggest you make yourself a little Teechart. Now, notice that this is not in standard form. Another suggestion, I would say, put it in standard form. 4x, transpose that over, a -3y equals a -9. So now this is in standard form. That's when it's really easy to use your X and Y intercept Teechart. So if X is 0, this X here is 0, this is going to be a 3. That's your y-intercept. Now if y is 0, here's where it gets a little tricky. If y is 0, then your x is actually a -9/4. So there's your x-intercept. But that's going to be a little hard to plot. Okay? But you could still plot it. And depending on the nature of your graph, this is going to be a 3. 1, 2, 3, 0 right there. Now, what is this? Well, this is, remember, it's 8/4 and a -1/4. So this is like a -2 and 1/4. So there's a 1, there's a 2, and there's a 3. So a -2 and 1/4 is going to be right about there. That's the intercept. So Math Lab, there's sometimes a problem in putting it right there. And again, if you have problems on a test doing this, show your work and I can give you the credit. Let's see what they're going to do here. So there's the X and Y intercepts. And again, sometimes it's very difficult to plot fractions on your graph. So again, you're going to try every effort to do it that way. But I've had situations where that was a problem. Okay, and then reviewing these, we said this was that special equation x equals a, which is a vertical line through the x-intercept. and there's just another one. Now, they're writing this as, and that's a little confusing here, x equals c. Well, they're using the letter c as just a constant, but we know that letter there is a. So that's why I like to use x equals a. So anytime you see that, just change it to an a. And the thing is, they're going to say y equals c, but we know that y equals b. So that constant, when it's y equals something, that's actually should be a b. Okay? Here we see it in graph 10, y equals b. So it will be a horizontal line going through a -3, and that's your y-intercept. And there you see it right there. This will be y equals 2. It's going to be up over there, a line right there. Okay, and again they're saying C where you should use the letter B. The C here is just standing for a constant. Okay, they are showing you graphing, and that will wrap up this section. All right, a little shorter.